Eddie. After all the events of what might feel like a long summer, how pleased are you that the Premier League is back?
Yeah, it's great to be back. I think when you look through the summer and you think it's going to be a sort of a long break and a long pre-season, and then it flashes by, and here we are. And lots happened. I think we've been busy and active, and lots of work's gone on behind the scenes. We're pleased to be here. I think the players are ready now to play, and we're looking forward to the challenges ahead.
How is your squad looking for Aston Villa? Perhaps with the exception of Joe Willock, is everybody available?
As I sit here now, I think everyone's available apart from Joe, and Joe's not too far away himself, so we've got relatively good-looking squad in terms of injury news. I think it's been really good because we've worked the players hard. They've been challenged through pre-season, but the majority have come through and had some good minutes as well on the pitch, which you need during pre-season. You need that sharpness to be ready to play.
And does that include your new signing, Malick Thiaw? Will he be part of the squad?
Yes, Malick will. He's trained for 2 days. Never easy coming in right at the end of pre-season for him because, of course, a lot of our work's already done and our structures are in place. But in the little bits that we've seen, I think we've signed a top quality player.
You've got no control over the fixture computer and the list that it throws out in the summer, but you have been handed some tough matches in the opening month, haven't you? Beginning with Aston Villa. How do you see it as a way to start the season? You've had some good battles with them in recent times, but at Villa Park it's been tougher for you. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think when we saw the fixtures come out, you look at the first, you immediately looking at the first few on the calendar, and tough games for us. But I think there's two ways to look at that. I think you can look at that and go, well, we're going to know where we are, and if we can get positive results, we're going to be really set up for the season. And also it sharpens your focus. I think then when you're working through pre-season, you're working for to get everything right for that first game because you know the quality of the opposition. As you say, we've had some really good battles home and away against them. They've had successes, we've had successes. It's going to be a really tight game, but hopefully one we can do well in.
I know you've spoken at length in recent weeks about Alexander Isak and his situation. As we talk now, what is the latest with him, and has anything changed this week?
No, there's been no change to the situation. All my focus has been on the training, on Aston Villa, on the transfer front in terms of trying to get players in. And you can imagine that is all-consuming for me. So Alex's situation's been unchanged for a while, and that will continue to be the case, I think.
You've enjoyed a good relationship with him, haven't you, over the 3 years that he's been a Newcastle United player? Given everything that's going on and the difficulties associated with it, do you feel that good understanding is still intact?
Yeah, I've had a great relationship with Alex. I think you need to have that partnership with every player. I take my part of that relationship really, really importantly. I think in the respect that I have to work really closely with the player to his benefit, to try and improve them, to try and help them, to try and educate them, sometimes console them. There's so many different emotions that players go through, and I always want to be there for them in every way. And me and Alex have enjoyed a great relationship. I don't think he'd have done as well as he's done without that, and without his teammates, and without the supporters and the backing of the whole football club. So he recognises that as well. He's a highly intelligent person, and he knows he wouldn't have had the success here without everybody connected with Newcastle. So this is a different moment for him and for us, and we're working through that together.
Last question from me. To what extent do you feel this has had an impact on the other players in their preparations, because they know they're not going to be playing alongside one of the best strikers around and somebody who's been a great teammate for them over the last few seasons?
Certainly early pre-season, I haven't shied away from the fact that was a difficult period for the players, for us, because any change is always difficult to react to. And I think you could see a bit of that in some of our early pre-season performances. But I think the players are really strong mentally, a really tight group. They've really come together in the latter stages of pre-season. The mood's been good, the spirit's been good, the performances have been better. So although it's not ideal, and we know that, I think the group's reacted really well.
Thanks, Razor. We've got Keith.
Eddie, are you rested and refreshed ahead of the new season?
I'm ready for a break, actually, Keith. No, I feel fine and within myself, health-wise and energy-wise. I feel pretty good. It's been a demanding summer. It hasn't been a period of rest, that's for sure for me. But you sort of become accustomed to that, and you know it's being a manager of a Premier League club is really you're on all the time, even in the summer period. So yeah, I feel in a good place and ready for the season.
Well, obviously it's Villa to start tomorrow, but you only need to cast your mind back 2 years ago and you thumped them 5-1 in the opening day. You'd take that again tomorrow, wouldn't you?
Well, I think you'd take on the first day, you'd take any kind of positive result. I think that day the scoreline probably flattered us. I thought Villa played well, we played well. I thought it was a great game. Villa went on to have a great season, as did we. So there's a lot of overreaction to the first game in both ways sometimes, and I think I really want to see a team that's unified, firstly, cohesive, and really focused and hungry to win. So I think as long as we see those things, we'll be fine.
Do you think with what's going on with Alex, and you mentioned a moment ago that the players sort of earlier in the pre-season were affected, do you think in some ways it's maybe brought the rest of the squad closer together?
I think sometimes these things can have that effect. I think we were really, really close anyway. I don't know if you could I could necessarily sit here and look you in the eye and say it's brought us closer together. But I do think sometimes these things can happen and it can unify you in a way that you didn't know possible. Certainly I think the resolve and the strength of the group is there. They realise that without Alex, everyone's going to have to step up and give more in order for us to get results, because it's not an ideal situation. So I think that's the focus, and that's what we're planning to do.
Have you tried? Have you asked him if he would play tomorrow?
I think those conversations, I mean, of course, I said many times during this summer I want him to play, want him to train, and of course I've had those conversations with him, but I think the details of those conversations need to remain private.
And the Isak situation aside, kind of quietly in the background it feels as though, you know, the club are going about their work well. We've seen a number of new players arrive. You mentioned Malick there, and of course Jacob Ramsey here having a medical as well. Are you pleased with the rest of the work that's going on, if you can park the Isak situation? I know that's difficult.
Yeah, I am really pleased. I think it's been a slow burner this summer for us. Initially a lot of frustration because we were trying to be active very early, as I said at the end of last season. The reality of that didn't happen, and that can sometimes be through no one's fault other than circumstance. Then you're trying to turn things in a positive way, not necessarily for you guys, your perception, but for the players internally, for the squad, for what we need. And I think gradually, piece by piece, we've been becoming stronger. It's all about, always for me, about the quality of the player rather than the number coming in. I say that continually, and I feel we've hit that in the right way. I think we've got quality players coming in, players that can make a difference, of the right age profile to take the squad forward into what will be a very challenging season. Yes, the top end of the pitch isn't ideal at the moment, but we've got a little bit of time on that still.
On Ramsey, I know you won't want to jinx it because it's not done yet, but he's the sort of guy I think that fits into your ethos here and everything you're trying to do.
I think you're right. You don't want to talk about it too early,
I've
Keith.
given you an is there any chance of him being involved tomorrow if you get the deal done?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Keith. We've got Andy.
Well, Eddie,
Morning.
can you even begin to give us any insight into just how busy you've been this summer? Like how many phone calls you've been taking a day, anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's just been a constant there in my life during the summer. So whether you're, I think I spoke to Craig a couple of years ago, whether you're on a water park slide, playing tennis with your kids, whatever you're doing, you're sort of, there's something happening, where's my phone, right, okay. And it's that kind of, then you're off, then you're back. And but you get used to that sort of, and it'll be the same for every manager, not for me. You get used to that life where you're sort of, there's a distraction, there's a moment where you have to go away, and then you can come back in again, and it's trying to focus on the people that you're with and not disrespect them, I think is important. But I think it's been that kind of summer for me where there's just been no lull in activity. There's always been something happening.
We were speaking to Aaron Ramsdale the other day, and he said it almost feels like, you know, the club is already being written off in a way with all of this Alexander Isak situation. Does this club and this team operate at its best when its back is almost against the wall?
Well, I wouldn't say at its best, because I think we've proved during this period that we can be successful in any scenario, really. We have performed well with our backs to the wall. We have performed well when things have been against us, and we've been challenged in various ways, whether that's injuries, PSR issues, not being able to bring players in. The players have always found a way to respond positively and not look for excuses. And I think that's been absolutely a key thought process. That it's very easy in life in general is to make an excuse for poor performances or make an excuse for poor results. And I don't think this group have ever done that. So we're not going to start doing it now. The situation is far from ideal, but we have to try and find a way, and that's what we'll try to do to the best of our ability.
Obviously, with us being in a world where there's social media operating and everything, the fans are naturally maybe a little bit worried ahead of the start of a new season. What would you say to them to kind of reassure them a little bit?
Well, I think worry is a bit of a wasted emotion, really. I think I'm always optimistic with the team because I know the character of the players that we have here. I know the talent that we have in the group. I know what we can give to the people of the city, and that is effort, commitment, heart, desire, and those qualities outweigh any other that you can give. So we will vow to do that and try and make our supporters proud, and all we ask of them is that they back us during game day, during match time, that they're with us, which I know they will be.
What makes Aston Villa such a tough test at Villa Park, would you say?
Yeah, very good environment for them to play in. I think very good support, very good team. I think Unai's done a brilliant job with them. Tactically, they're excellent. Their way of playing has been ingrained, and you can see whether they play home, away, pre-season games, that they play the same way or with the same principles. And they're a tough team to come up against. And if you're off in any way in your game, they'll punish you. They'll find your weakness. So we've had some, as I said earlier, we've had some really good games against them, both positive and negative, and you always learn from the negative ones. So we're going to be ready for a really tough game.
Just finally, you described last season as one of the best in your managerial career. Towards May 2026, how would you want to be describing this upcoming season?
It has the potential to be an amazing season. It has the potential with the competitions that we're in to be memorable again. So I don't like predicting the future. I just like to focus on small improvements every day, every week. Try and get better. Try and get the focus towards improvement and development of the team. If we can continue to do that with the players that we have, I'm sure it'll be a great season.
Thanks, Andy. We'll go at Tyne and then look north down the front.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Events have sort of pushed the narrative one way over the summer, but there's another side to this as well. You came back to this season as winners now, as a group. Do you think that's made a difference at all?
Well, I think the feeling of the cup final win is still there with us. We wanted to embrace that win and try and use it for all the positive, and our return to the Premier League after winning the cup was so impressive because it can work against you. You can get complacent. You can think you've done your job in that one moment, and we knew it was far from it. We're building towards hopefully something greater. So that feeling's a nice feeling going into a new season, but it counts for absolutely nothing. We have to earn it all over again. The players have to earn it all over again. Last season is, to a degree, forgotten. So the players that played fantastic last year now have to do it all again. And that's the life of a footballer and the life of a football manager.
Thank you.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Obviously, the transfer window is still open, September the 1st. Given the challenging season, as you say, you're going to face, how many more people, how many more members of the squad are you going to look to add?
Well, we are still active in the window. We still love to add one or two players. But it really is now sort of quality again over quantity. We don't want to do too much more. I don't think we need too much more. That we're certainly strong in certain areas of the squad. Look, really have got good depth, and we'll be able, hopefully, and resilient enough to get through a long, tough season. You look at the fixture list we have beyond the first international break; it's relentless. So we're going to need everybody fit and available to contribute. So yeah, an important last few weeks of the window for us. Certainly, we need to do a little bit more.
Sunderland back in the Premier League. What's that mean for Newcastle United?
Well, it will mean a lot when we come to face them. I think I know there's a lot of talk. I've done interviews already where one of the big topics has been Sunderland. I think for me that's not there at the moment. That will be there when those games come around. For us, we have some tough challenges ahead first.
Thank you. We'll go with Damien and then Ian, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning, David.
Eddie, do the players this weekend almost have to forget about Alex, and how difficult will that be to do given what he's given to the club over the last 3 years?
Yeah, well, I think we do. He's not here with us, so we have to focus on who is here and get the best out of every single player in the squad that's fit and available. That's always been the way. I think the players will be aware that he's not here, but I don't think the focus will be on that. The focus will be on making sure that they play to the best of their ability, each and every player. And that's all we can do.
And as we stand now, would you still expect Alex to be a Newcastle player on September the 2nd?
Yeah, I at the moment I would, but I've got no change of feeling throughout the summer. It's not in my hands, but he's contracted to us, so that's why I say that.
Morning, Eddie. When the final whistle blew in last season and you'd secured Champions League football, was there any part of you, injuries notwithstanding, that thought Alex Isak wouldn't be available for the opening game of this season?
That was the furthest thing from my mind. Trust me, when that final whistle went, it was just a feeling of relief, really, because we'd sort of been hunting that prize all season. We were in and around it after a really good run in December. I wasn't thinking about any individual in that moment, and yeah, I can't really give you an answer to that.
Throughout the summer, though, did you think that Champions League qualification had put to bed any issues with Alex?
Yeah, it's just not dependent on Alex. My thinking's not on just one player. I think Champions League qualification was important for the squad in general because we've got some outstanding players that want to play and compete in the best competitions. So certainly I had a feeling that that would help us keep the majority of the squad together because, as I say, I'm sure we've got players that are coveted by other clubs. So that is a big part of what we need to do on a regular basis. We need to keep the momentum in the club, in the performances and the results for the long-term success.
Thank you.
Go Louise and then Lee, please.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
Do you feel that there's been a lack of communication in the sense that, say, Isak was obviously a bit non-committal on, say, with his interview with Alan Shearer last season when he spoke to us before the cup final. If he'd made it really clear early in the spring that he wanted to move on, you could have sold him for a really high price because there would have been a massive auction at the start of the window. Then you would have had a greater choice of players in theory. Is there any sense? Was that ever discussed, or do you blame him for not communicating clearly enough?
Sounds very simple, your plan.
That's hindsight.
Yeah, well, no, but the reality of any transfer or of any player situation is far more complicated than the hypothetical situation. I understand why you may think the initial thing that you discussed there, but nothing's ever as simple as it seems on the outside.
And moving on to goalkeepers, do you know who's playing in goal tomorrow? Have you?
I have an idea.
Are you going to
but
tell
we'll
us?
See. Yeah, I have a good idea of the team that I'm going to pick. But we have one training session left, so there's always a chance that something may happen in between. But yeah, I have a good idea of the team.
Thank you.
No problem.
Lee?
Eddie, is the Isak situation holding up other business? Because obviously, if he's sold, then you're going to have money to spend. But without that, it feels like you're kind of stuck.
No, it's not limited us in terms of what we're trying to do. We've been looking to sign a striker all summer. We lost Callum Wilson at the end of last year, so a striker was a necessity for us all through all through the window. And that's not changed. We're still in that position. So, yeah, of course, for loads of different reasons, we haven't been able to sign one, but we still have time to do that.
And if Alex is deemed as world class, can you bring in another world class striker before the window shuts, whether he stays or not?
Well, as I said, we're looking to sign a striker, and we're trying to sign the best one that we can. I'm very reluctant to put anyone in world class status. I'll let you do that. I just focus on trying to bring the one in that we feel suits us and the way that we play, and can make a difference. That they're the key qualities that I look at.
And I mean, bearing in mind there's a lot of targets have already moved, do you actually feel that there is that level of striker left to buy, given obviously certain strikers you missed out on in the window already?
Yeah, I think it's a very small field. The centre forward market this year is as tight as I've ever known it, really. Yes, we've been active for a few, and for whatever reason they haven't happened. I can't deny that, but we're still actively looking, and I still believe that there is someone there that can fit our requirements.
I've got Craig, Chris, and then Luke, please.
Eddie, this was something you touched on before, that Alex wouldn't be the player he is without the relationship with you, with his teammates, with the club, with your staff. To that end, is there disappointment at the manner in which this has played out? You know, it could have been different. Yes, he wants to go, but he could have gone about achieving that in a different way.
I don't think now is the time for me to critique that, Craig. I think it would be wrong for me to do so. But I think Alex would be the first person to acknowledge that as well. He's not, ever given any indication that he's done this on his own, his career progression. The team has to function for any centre forward to score. And he's the first to admit that his love for his teammates and the style of play has greatly helped him. So there's certainly no issue on that side.
It looks like it'll be Anthony Gordon through the middle tomorrow. Is there a scenario, and would you be okay with going with Anthony Gordon and Anthony Elanga to a lesser extent, plus one other, plus a signing until January, if that had to be the case?
I'll go with whatever hand I'm dealt. That's always been my way of thinking. Again, going back to an earlier point of not sort of giving excuses or looking for excuses, because I think that spreads right through the squad. The ideal would be that we sign a striker. I think we need one, irrespective of what happens to Alex's situation. With the amount of games, I think we need that, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Chris?
Morning, Eddie. I mean, you've mentioned how difficult a summer it has been, obviously, the sort of change that there has been. You said previously that you sort of didn't want the situation that you've maybe had in previous windows where you've had to take a sort of active role in recruitment, but obviously this summer without a sporting director and the CEO situation. How difficult has that been for you, and what does that actually change in terms of the way that things work day to day in that regard?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wouldn't want an active role in recruitment of players. I feel I have to have an active role in the recruitment of players. I have to, when you welcome a player through the doors here into your squad, you've got to have a plan for them. You've got to know where they fit, and to do that, you have to love the player. So I think I'm an important part of that piece, but it's obviously without a sporting director, I'm not there to negotiate the deals or the transfer fees, all the things that it's a very complicated process now. The things that you have to do to sign a player now is so much more complex than it used to be. So that's where you need a really, really good team away from the sort of footballing decision to actually get the deals done. I feel we have that. It's just been, there's been no issue with that. That hasn't stopped us signing players. Obviously, we've been in competition with other clubs for players, and ultimately we've lost out on a few. That happens. It's always been there. But no, I think the recruitment processes in such of identifying the player and finding the ones that we want, I think it's been fine. It's worked well as it has in other seasons.
I mean, just on the sporting director position, obviously it is theoretically a long-term position, but there's sort of been two in the last 18 months, last one very last year. How important is it that the next person is actually in there for a decent amount of time to see things through?
Ideally, yes. You're right. I think it's a long-term position because you need to put plans in place to make the structure of how we work smoother, more streamlined, long-term planning with the academy, all the hiring of staff and making sure you've got an elite performance, all running all through the club. They're long-term decisions, and you need to stick with that to see the long-term effects. It's been unfortunate that we haven't had that, certainly in the last couple of years. fingers crossed. I don't want to put too much pressure on whoever comes in, but fingers crossed we can get that this time.
Cheers, Chris. Luke?
Morning, Eddie. You've been asked a lot of questions about Isak and his future. What is the board's view of his current situation and his behaviour?
I think the board needs to discuss that with you, Luke. I don't think I can do that. I have, from the whole situation, really, I've become detached from it because the demands on my job and my time are so extreme that I don't have time to be dealing with that on a daily basis. So other people have been dealing with that situation, and really for clarity on their thoughts, I think you need to ask them.
Is there a way back for Alex at Newcastle? Obviously, he's upset a lot of the fan base. We're led to believe he's upset other people behind the scenes, but is there a way back for him to play for Newcastle again on whenever it may be?
Yes, I believe there is. But of course, discussions and talks would have to take place in order for that to happen. But that's, again, for another day. Today is Aston Villa and making sure we prepare as well as we can. I understand why your questions are filled with that subject, but it doesn't really help us in this moment. It's hard enough as it is without being totally focused on the game ahead.
Just finally then, August, you had a really successful season last season. What would success look like for you this season?
Progression, as I said earlier, improvement, more control in our performances, more dominant displays, and of course, really simply wins. We need to win football matches. We need to score goals. We want to attack. We want to be the team that we have always been. But it's never a given that you're going to deliver that. The league is so hard. The challenges are so big in front of us. The other teams have all improved. I feel we will be stronger once we have our full complement of players available. So yeah, it's finding ways to win games even when we don't play well.
Thank you and best luck.
Thank you, Luke. We'll go on Martin at the back and then Aaron, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Apologies for the same topic, but how is Alexander Isak right now?
I don't know the sort of the full answer to that because I'm not with him enough to give you a full definitive answer. I believe he's fine. I have seen him and spoke with him, and yeah, he seems okay.
Do you worry about a player training on his own for this amount of time?
In what respect?
That he's not with his teammates, that he's not going through all the stuff you do before games and in pre-season.
Are you talking physically or?
Yeah, physically and mentally.
Yeah, of course. It's not anything you ever want to see. Want to see him with the squad. Want to see him happy, enjoying his football. He's contracted to us. He's here. So for me, that's an unfortunate situation.
And sorry, is there any disappointment with how he has played this out?
As I said to Craig earlier, I don't think I should go there today.
Okay, cheers. Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, mate. Aaron.
Morning, Eddie. Obviously, nobody can tell the future about Alex Isak, but from your experience in the past, how easy or hard is it for players to be reintegrated when something like this happens?
I think all options and potential scenarios are open and available to Alex. I don't think any door is closed. Ultimately, it's going to depend on him and what happens in his situation. Then you know, he will dictate that to a degree, and we will facilitate it, and obviously try and get the best result for us and Newcastle.
And this summer, you've lost some really experienced players. You've lost Sean Longstaff, Callum Wilson, Martin Dubravka, players who have been at this club a long time. Did you maybe plan for it to be this sort of transformational summer? And sort of, can you talk to us about what the squad is going to look like now that these players who have been here for years are not around the place anymore?
Yeah, we're certainly going to miss all those players that you mentioned. I mean, it's a shame that I haven't been able to talk about them more in depth. Outstanding people, outstanding players, gave a lot to the football club. They leave with our full respect. All of them contributed greatly to the success we've had in the last 3.5 years and before I arrived. You know, they're great servants to the football club. And they all left with their heads held high, and we really wish them well in their next stage of their careers. For us, we will miss their experience, we will miss their contribution, but it's time then to welcome new players to the group and an exciting future, and to see how new players can develop their careers here and what they can give to the team. So that change is a natural cycle in a football team. It has to happen. I've said many times, sat here with PSR, that we weren't able to recruit, so the squad became to a degree stagnant, and fresh energy and fresh impetus is sometimes what a football team needs to evolve. So I've got no problem with that either. So yeah, I'm excited by what the new team can look like.
Thank you. Just a little push for time, but we'll wrap up with Mark. We've got Jordan and then Dom. Sorry if anyone does miss out.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
You mentioned there about maybe Alex not being for the foreseeable future. Do you think there's a chance he could play at all before 1st of September, or you effectively think until the transfer window finishes and this is resolved, you can't, probably not going to be able to pick him?
I don't know. As I sit here now, I don't know that. Again, Alex will control that.
We talked a lot about PSR over the last couple of years here. We see Aston Villa off a season of the Champions League also not being able to recruit players. Do you think PSR is making it virtually impossible for teams to break into that top four and stay there consistently and recruit players, or is it still possible?
I think it makes it harder. I don't think anything's impossible, but certainly the challenges that teams face with those restrictions, as we know better than any, selling players you don't want to sell, not being able to recruit players that you would like to, not being able to freshen the squad up. These are all challenges that we've encountered now for a long period of time and will still be impacted by in the future. This isn't going to go away for us because our revenue streams are not, I know I'm repeating myself and I apologise, but they're not where the other clubs are. So it's a gradual, slow burn for us where we're having to try and generate more income to help ease those restrictions placed upon us. But it certainly makes it harder, but I don't believe anything's impossible.
Just finally, what have you made of the transfer market so far? A lot of those top teams have signed good players and strengthened. Do you think it's going to be harder this season?
I think it gets harder every season. The level is so high. The Premier League is such a great league because clubs can bring the best players in the world to the Premier League, and I think we've seen that again this summer. Prices have been very high. It's incredible how the inflated fees paid continue to go up, but it's where it is, and you have to either join in or suffer, really. So we have to join in, and we're doing that to the best of our ability under the restrictions that we're under to improve the squad to the maximum.
Cheers. Jordan?
Hi, Eddie. Just on the Isaac situation, how have you gone about keeping out the noise, particularly this week ahead of a game?
I don't think you can fully keep it out because the world we live in now with the players are accessing social media. They have access to it. They're going to live in that world because they've been in that for the majority of their lives, really. So I think the big message comes from us when they're here and how we conduct ourselves and the messages we give them. And I say the feeling's much improved within the squad, I think, the last couple of weeks, and that's been great to see.
Cheers, and then just Dom to wrap up, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
A key part of your transfer approach this summer has been bringing in players who really want to be part of this group, play for the football club. But probably stating the obvious, is that mentality even more important for the players already in the building, already part of the squad?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're going to achieve anything with a squad that's not totally united together and really positive in its attitude, keen to achieve, keen to represent the club. And it's absolutely key for me when we go into the recruitment phase that any player you sign is desperate to come. And every player that we've signed this summer has been in that position. I think if you start on the wrong foot and you're sort of not dragging a player, but they're unsure, I don't think the transfer ever fully works. In my experience, especially here, all the players that we've signed desperately wanted to come. And then you could see that in their performances. I always think of Bruno. Bruno was desperate to come. He couldn't wait to wear the black and white shirt. And the way he entered the football club with his early performances after waiting to get into the team was inspirational. And he's never stopped being that inspirational figure. So he would epitomise that. And he's still in that position now. He loves playing here for the city, for the supporters. And that's a great example of what we need.
And in that respect, is it maybe not as simple as convincing Alexander Isak to play for the club again, or him deciding he wants to play for the club again? He would need to convince you that that's his mentality.
Yeah, to a degree. I think in order for any player, this is not Alex related, but to play well in the team, you have to be in that mental place where you want to play and you want to represent, you want to be with your teammates and your coaching staff, and you want to do well. The league's so hard that if you're not there, the games can become very difficult very quickly.